you think of the weather? This is not English weather.
I know. I'm pretty excited actually because I'm used to coming over here and always being wet and loading in the rain, and this is quite nice. Nicer than it is in the U.S. right now, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. How's the tour going so far?
Well, this is the second night. So the first night was London. It was terrific. It was just one of those great bring down the house shows. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people there. Good reaction to the new songs. So it was fun.
Yeah. This is an age-old question, and you've got to keep in mind, like, I've been listening to you for about 8 or 9 years now, and this is the first time I've ever been able to interview. So there's going to be a few things that I've wanted to know personally. Why do you never play anything off Waiting anymore?
Well, we sort of think of it almost like, I mean, that was the beginning of the band, but it's almost like a different band. We have 2 people in the band now that weren't in the band then, and when we play live now, it's 3 people. So it just doesn't feel like the same band. We generally think of like Full Collapse as the first full-fledged record that we did. Waiting I still love, it just doesn't feel like Thursday.
You're saying about only 3 original ones play live now.
Well, I mean, it's not that really. It's just that it's like playing live. It's Tucker, Tom, Steve, and I. But Steve wasn't on Waiting. He started with Full Collapse.
I've got a guy called Lucas Previn plays bass when
we tour. It's still the same. I mean, we've always had the same. We've only changed one guitar player, but then we added a keyboard player. And then Tim just makes records with us now.
I actually read once, I think it was in Kerrang, and it was an interview with you, and it said something about Andrew on keyboard, saying that you basically put him in the band because he wasn't doing anything else.
Yeah, we loved him, and we were like, he's got to join the band. So we made him come.
Fair enough.
And now he writes a ton of stuff. It's one of my favorite parts of the band.
Tell me if I'm not saying this right, but No Devolucion is out now, is it?
That's how I say it. It's technically supposed to be pronounced No Devolucion, but I pronounce it No Devolution.
It's out now. How's the response been so far?
It's been incredible, actually. The press has been by far the best press we've ever gotten in our whole career. Usually, like, everybody hates a new record until it's been out for a while, and then they start to get used to it. And this one, at least half, if not more, of our fans got it right away and like understood it. And we found out that we only shipped out 10,000 copies to sell for the first week, and we found out that we sold over 9,000 copies of those 10. So we're feeling pretty positive about it. Usually you only sell about 20 to 30% your first week, so to sell 93 or 94% is nice.
For those who haven't heard it yet, could you tell the readers, I guess, a little bit about the new album?
Yeah, it's. I think it has a lot more space in it. It has a lot more breathing room. I think it's a little bit more subtle than some of our other records, and this thing has a lot more ups and downs. There's sort of like high peaks and low, quiet valleys, and it's not all claustrophobic and dark. Some of it's kind of hopeful.
I've not actually had a chance to listen to the album yet, but I'm reviewing it over the weekend for the website. But I read that it has a Cure-esque feel and doesn't feature any screams.
Well, that's a lie, but I mean, when you'll hear it, you'll hear the screams. There's 3 songs, I think, that are pretty screamy. But as far as Cure-esque, I actually think World of Time and Full Collapse sound more like The Cure. That was around the time that The Cure asked us to open for them, and I think that era was very Cure for us. But I think as long as I'm singing over it, like since I have a similar voice to Robert Smith, that it's sort of like inevitable that people compare it. I mean, every record I'll hear people like, oh, this one sounds like The Cure, and I'll think like, well, you didn't hear the last one, I guess. That one sounded like The Cure too, sort of.
You've been on Epitaph now for 2 records.
Yeah.
Is it really good, like, working with them? Because they're like so famous for putting out good music.
Yeah, I mean, really the pleasure of working with Epitaph is that it's run by musicians.
Yeah.
So when you give them a record, they're not trying to figure out how to sell it. They're just psyched that you made a good record, you know what I mean? Or they can tell, like, the thing is, I know Brett, the owner, is a producer, and I know if he says, like, this isn't up to par, like, if he were to say that to us, I would know to trust him, you know, because he's a great musician. He's made a lot of records that I love, and he also doesn't expect nothing but hit singles. Like, he likes good music, he likes records to be records. So if he's telling you, like, I don't think this is good, I don't think this is right, then he probably has a pretty good idea that it's not as good as you can do.
I've got a quote from you, and it's about working with Epitaph, and you said it's a great feeling to have a label encourage you and be more socially conscious and politically active. Could you expand on politically active?
Yeah, well, I mean, we go out of our way, especially in the States where we're more familiar with the laws being made, but for gay rights, we're big supporters of same-sex marriage being legalized, and it's just basically like a lot of our politics are just basic human rights politics. Like, we think everybody should have the same access to freedom and the same right to be happy as the next person.
And is that something that's incorporated into this record as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something more that we're, it's like, to me, you write what you want to write about and you think about what you want to think about, but then the way that you use your platform to talk to people and bring across messages, I think that's just as important. You know what I mean? It's during this record, I knew what I wanted it to be about, and I wasn't going to force like songs about gay marriage into it just for the sake of doing that. You know what I mean? So even though there are causes that we support and things that we like to be a part of, also we really like All Ages Movement Project in the U.S., which is an organization that helps kids make legal all ages venues that aren't like capitalist driven. More like youth centers. And since we came out of like the basement scene that wasn't about like a bar, we like that idea that more kids will be active in putting on local shows and stuff like that. So but to me it's like it doesn't have to be part of the music, you know what I mean? Like, we're not Rise Against, we're not like always about the message all the time.
You do New Year's show every year for your New Jersey fans. Does that go down really well? What's the decision behind starting that off?
Well, we did one, and it was like, that seems like a pretty hip time to play because like everybody's home and bored. Like, let's try one and see how it goes. And it went so well that we were like, we should make this a tradition every year. And since we have, it's one of the best traditions we've ever done. It's like every single year we do it, and kids know to expect it every year. And we kind of go all out and play like the longest sets and like play all the stuff that kids have never heard.
Do you do it like on New Year's and on the countdown? Do you do Jet Black?
Well, a lot of times we don't actually do it on New Year's. We'll do it the day before or the day after. And so the year that we did.
Have you done that?
The year that we did that New Year's, we did it right at. And we did Jet Black at midnight. Did confetti and balloons and stuff.
It seems that New Jersey gets a pretty bad rap, just in the media and stuff. Do you agree with the rap it gets? And do you often feel like the dark and deep lyrical content is attributed to that?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've ever seen Jersey Shore, I mean, that's definitely one part of the Jersey culture, and I think it's probably why like I got into punk rock when I was a kid, because I didn't want to be a part of that. Now I think it's really entertaining because I'm not a part of it. Like, I don't have to be a part of it. I can just watch and be like, yes, I remember people like that. But yeah, I think New Jersey's a funny place. Like, I think it's so close to New York City that when you grow up in New Jersey, you always sort of feel like everything is happening in the world over there, and I'm here, and it's a shithole.
Like, it's kind of in the shadow of the city.
It's like I'm here in this shithole, and there's nothing to do here. So I'm gonna start a band and get the fuck out of New Jersey.
You did a split with Japanese band Envy, and also released a Sigur Rós cover on the Japanese release of War All the Time. Do you have a big Japanese fan base?
Not really, actually. We just happen to really love Envy and a lot of Japanese bands. And really, I don't know, I've always had a kinship with Japanese culture. I think it's just so different from, like, it's like, as Americans, we're all Anglophiles, so we already know what's going on over here all the time. It's like so much of that is cross-pollinated, New York bands and London bands, it's all similar. But then you go to Japan and the shit that you see is just mind-blowing, it's something totally different. And so I think it was really cool to see a band like Envy who was in touch with like when I first saw them, they were a thrash band, and they had a split with this local New Jersey band called Endeavor, and I thought they were just a really rad thrash band. But then to hear them grow, and it's just really strange because the kinds of classical that they incorporate into their post-rock parts is different than the classical that we would incorporate as like fans of like American and English and German composers. Those are all the things that I grew up on, but they have a whole other classical tradition that they're drawing from. So it always sounds really fresh and new to me.
What's next for Thursday?
Well, we do this tour. We go all through Europe, and then we go home and play with My Chemical Romance, and then we go. We were supposed to go to Japan, but that's been canceled or postponed. And then this summer we do a full U.S. tour, and hopefully we'll be over here to play the festivals. And then we go to Australia and do Soundwave Revolution. And that brings us to October, and that's as far as we have planned this year.
Yeah, you're looking forward to Grows Rock.
Yeah, I love Grows Rock.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
I'm so psyched that we're playing 2 days because there's always a band you want to see on the day you're not playing.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, I really want to see them. And so this year we were like, maybe we could get them to put us on both days and we can just stick around.
Are you gonna get a chance to catch Descendants?
I hope so. I really I've never seen them, and I grew up like Bike Age was like my high school anthem.
Can you give us some information on the United Nations project with Darryl Palumbo?
Yeah, we're not really doing anything right now. Like we've all stepped away so we can do our own bands.
Fair enough. And that's There's any chance of a Geoff Rickly solo project like pretty much every other motherfucker's doing?
I don't know, man. I stay busy with a lot of bands. You know what I mean? Like doing Thursday, doing United Nations. I did Ink and Dagger last year. So it's like I stay pretty busy with other bands, and I just don't have time for it.
Yeah, I mean you have done acoustic shows and stuff.
Yeah, I've done that, but it's mostly like I've got a few songs that I've written that aren't part of Thursday, but I'll do like a few UN songs and I'll do a few Thursday songs.
Local promoter from around here, we asked questions on Facebook last night, and a guy called Kieran Kelly says he wants to know how you feel about being name dropped by Rebecca Black.
I don't think she meant to name drop us. We just happened to be a part of the day of the week.
Someone actually asked us to make the interview really meta and like play Tuesday in the background while interviewing Thursday and Wednesday.
Should do that, yeah. We could do a whole bit. Be like, we interviewed Thursday on a Wednesday with Tuesday in the background. Like who's on first?
We got a bit of a joke question.
Alright.
We're trying to ask to every band, and it's not really coming up as well as the last one, but if you could have the choice of one of the following superpowers, which would you have? It would be flight, invisibility, or Chuck Reagan's voice.
I know, right? Chuck Reagan's voice is a fucking superpower.
It's like a mountain.
It's so
It's
good.
like a mountain.
It really is like a mountain. It's like I someday my dream is to start a Chuck Reagan fishing show. I just think like him on a boat with a guitar, and like I don't know, it just seems too good. He's so like rugged, you know? Fucking love him. Like we're always like, when you stand next to Chuck, you just don't feel like a real man. It's like Chuck is like
He builds houses, he just builds them. It's insane.
yeah, of course he does. With his bare hands, no tools.
No tools. Just breaks the wood.
I just think I've got a new question, by the way.
What?
Can you hear this?
yeah.
If you could have the choice of these two people to make you a table, Jesus or Chuck Reagan, who would it be?
That's tough, man. I don't know.
Maybe they could work together.
Yeah, I bet they could work
That'd be a
together.
badass table.
Yeah, our sound guy was Hot Water's first sound guy. He did years and years with them. So if you see him, you can harass him.
Yeah, definitely a little bit. Finally, we've got you a present.
I've got your present.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright.
I think you'll like it.
I'm sure I will.
It's a pair of socks. Because we know you give people pairs of socks quite often.
We saw it in that one video
Yeah.
where John Berners stood there.
Oh, yeah.
Surprisingly enough, he didn't pop up and ask us to ask you some dumb questions.
No, he usually does.
He did
Yeah.
yesterday.
So,
Yeah, I brought Frank some socks. He
Yeah,
was
so we
psyched.
decided to
There
repair
you go.
the thing.
so that empty space in your sock drawer can be
Yeah.
filled now.
I actually think Million Dead opened for us at Academy 1 once down there, right?
Yeah, I have seen Million Dead. I thought it was either supporting you or taking back Sunday.
I think it was
I know
I
I'd
think it
seen
was
them.
us